Hey everybody, back again. It is Friday, you guys. So today I have a new person I want to introduce you to. She's actually a holistic healer, and I'm very excited to share her story with you because I come from a very holistic background, so I'm excited to have her share her. She got into how she heals and teaches people, and the many methods that you have that you can actually holistically heal without chemicals and all those things. So I'm excited. Hi, Tomasa, how are you?
Hi. How are you
Pika.
doing? Pardon
Yeah,
me?
fine, thank you. Pika.
Pika, Pika.
Yeah.
That's right.
How's your day been so far?
It's been a good
It's
day. I actually was on a summit today, or my recording was on somebody else's summit, so that went out. And
nice.
I had a gift that I had to work on yesterday, so there's a lot of
Oh,
things
wow.
going on.
But that's good though. I'm excited because I was going back through your post and it says that you're focusing a little bit more on retreats for people. So it's not just a one-time speak to me and get some advice. It's more like let's live this for a couple of days so that you really get in the hang of how to adjust your lifestyle. And I really like that idea actually.
Well, it's there's a couple of things, some new things that I'm working on. The new thing that I'm working on is I'm transitioning my one-on-one business
Okay.
to more retreat style so people can come
Yes.
have one-on-one personal retreats. And then, but it not only gives them the hands-on work, because that's mostly what I give people, the hands-on energetic work, but they also get the food with it, because a lot of people will go home.
Right. You mentioned you were going to get to cook as well. That's very cool.
Exactly. And then I do have a 9-month program where I train emerging healers to
Okay.
become shamans. And not only
Nice.
that, but also a lot of the work of being a shaman is doing your own inner work.
Oh gosh, and yes, that is not comfortable, and I'm doing some of it. um, but I'm learning. It's a very different viewpoint and not something I'm used to. Even though I've grown up in, a very holistic atmosphere, it's still you still got to hold that mirror up and look at yourself a lot, and I don't like
Oh
it.
my God, you just hit the nail on the head, you know. Yeah, I just finished coming off of teaching a part of a retreat. So I have a 9-month program, and so I just had a 3-day retreat, and
Okay,
it's away at home, and it were by the beach, which is really nice because I love it by
nice.
the beach. But there's a lot of inner work that goes on, but also we not only look at just our inner work, but we're also looking at pieces of how we have brought forward our ancestors' pieces, how it's been passed down through the DNA. So
And
that
I've noticed that, yes.
and that is some really intense work because it's like, really? I brought this from my ancestors? Because that's really unconscious stuff, that we're not aware of.
Yeah, and a lot of times we can't figure out where it comes from, and that itself is frustrating. Like, why? I don't understand. Like, I can't figure it out. And a lot of times, if you were to go to a traditional therapist, they're looking at things that actually happen in your life, and this has nothing to do with those things. So I love that. If you wouldn't mind, can we start at the beginning? How did you get into this line of work? Were you raised with this kind of idea, or how did you find this? How did it find you, maybe?
You know, well, I will put it this way. I had a grandmother that was
Okay.
pretty clairvoyant. She would have
Okay.
dreams, and the dreams would come true.
Okay.
And so as a child, I was exposed to that. Now, looking at my mother, it looks like it skipped a generation. So the interesting
Yeah.
thing is that I have an engineering background, and
Okay.
I went to a very prestigious college, but kind of went and said, this is not my passion. Um,
Yeah.
and so I began to look for work that I love to do. And I kind of stumbled upon this because I was in the corporate industry and
Okay.
working and got really sick. And I had
Oh,
two
yeah.
toddlers at the time and was married. And then it became like, oh, okay, how do I heal myself in a holistic way? And so I had a coworker who introduced me to someone who did some
Hmm.
hands-on healing energy work on the body. So I
Okay.
started seeing her, and then it evolved from there because then it became like, oh, I learned how to work on myself. Then I became a practitioner. And then from
Yes.
there, it's like, um, even though you get this cookbook recipe of, the knowledge, I want to call it, so to speak,
Yep.
of, oh, this is how we do it, because it's very similar to Chinese medicine. So I have a lot of
Yes.
Chinese medicine background. But the
Okay.
interesting thing is that it makes you dive deeper and look at, well, why do we manifest these things in our body anyway? And so
Yes.
then it started pointing to the emotions. And so that really, I always have been interested in what makes people's minds tick. But
Me too. Absolutely.
this is even more fun. Like, oh, let's look at why somebody has caught this disease has been caused in
Yeah.
someone's body. Why is this showing up? So I always like to look at the emotions now. And so
Yes.
that's what got me started. And then from there, I met someone while I was doing expanding my studies of energy healing work, acupressure and things of that sort. I met someone who taught me intuitively to listen to my intuition because it was naturally coming. It's like my hands want to do this,
Yes.
but I wasn't taught to do that.
Right.
And
Okay.
so I got exposed to her, and then she taught a multi-dimensional healing program, so I did that, and that expanded, and then it's like, whoa, this is out there, so I put it on the shelf for a little bit. And then, Spirit has a way of bringing things back to you when you put them on the shelf. And
Yes.
so I met a friend of mine who was taking a business training with me for holistic
Okay.
practitioners, healers of that sort.
Okay.
And she was a shaman. And
Okay.
so I went, oh, that's why I see your peace. She just seems so peaceful, like nothing could destroy her peace.
Wow. That's what I
And
want.
so I looked at her and I said, oh, you're a shaman. And so it's like, I went back to thinking, God, I need to go back to my shamanism, right? And
Okay.
so the funny thing about it was after she and I completed this program, I went and had my hands read. And someone read my hands and they said, Tomasa, you're a shaman and you're a mentor. And I said, okay, well, I better step into it. So I started taking shamanic
Wow.
training again. And that's what got me to dive even deeper with the
Hmm.
emotions. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So wait, but that's very bold to me because sometimes when you're told something, it takes you a little bit of time to digest, but it seems like you were already on that path and you were ready to just step into it. I like that you said, okay, well, I better step into it. Um,
Well, it's
because
very
I've done
funny
a
when,
lot of these things on and off. Yeah, go
what were
ahead.
you saying? I'm sorry, sweetheart.
No, 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 go ahead.
No, I was
It's
going
just
to
that,
say
yeah,
I was going to say the funny thing about it, normally it takes me time to move forward.
okay.
And somehow with healing and personal development work, I'll dive
Hmm.
in if it's going to,
Yes,
help me.
it interests you, yeah.
But the business pieces are like, oh, really that? I don't want to do that.
Um, I'm there with you. I would rather talk to people than work on other things. But they're necessary. I understand. Yeah, so I get you.
Oh, I've already decided that, I just need a CEO to run my company and I can just be the talent.
Well, hey, if you, yes.
Well, I've actually had this discussion. I had these thoughts a couple of years ago, like, gee, I really just want somebody else to do that piece, and I want to step into just doing the work because I love it.
Right,
This
right.
is my passion. Handling all the business pieces is like, oh my God, are we serious? I really don't want to do that piece. And here I have a techie background, so I had to like get up my website, some things done last night. And I was just like, oh, I really don't want to do this. And I procrastinate even though I know how to do it. And so
Yeah, I do
part
too.
of it was like, let's just like find somebody else to do this stuff. And let me just go do the stuff I'm passionate about.
Right. And that's actually the difficulty of being a CEO because this is your business, the buck stops with you. So for you to even recognize that and decide, you know what, yeah, I'm not going to waste time on this because it doesn't interest me and I'm putting it off anyway, but it's necessary for you to even make that decision that someone else can do that. I'm going to focus on what I do best. That's something that we need to learn as entrepreneurs, I feel like. We feel like starting out, we don't have the money, we need to do everything by ourselves. And yeah, okay, there's a necessity for that, but when you have the chance to make it a little more efficient for yourself, yeah, why not? That's a major thing.
Oh, well, that decision, all I know is that thought came across my mind about maybe 2.5 years ago. And then I had a family member say to me, actually, it was my kid, Mom, you need to CEO. You need a CEO. You just need to be the talent. She called it out, and I was like,
Hey,
Oh my God, you're so right. I totally agree with you. And she's like,
that's awesome.
you're just the talent. You know, you're the talent. Not that you're just the talent. You're the talent. Let somebody else handle these other pieces. You don't want to handle them. I said, you're
Right.
absolutely right. I just want to show up and do my work and, process
So
people.
I'm kind of new in this whole energy healing. I'm actually very interested in it, and I'm seeing bits and pieces throughout my life where I dabbled in it a little bit and then kind of let it go. So you talking about putting things on the shelf, yes, they do come around, and I wasn't ready when it came around. But with your energy healing work, you said you tried to heal yourself first. How was that? Was it difficult to understand, to adapt your mind to recognizing where there might be blockages, where your emotions were kind of stuck? Was that difficult for you as you learned on yourself first?
Well, I had somebody working on me.
Okay,
Uh, there's a couple of different ways of healing. I mean, all the work I do is some sort of energy healing work.
right,
So, a lot of it has evolved over the years. I mean, I've been doing this
of
for
course.
2 years. Um,
Yes.
so I started out having someone else put their hands on me, and then me learning, and then me understanding when I think this is probably the easiest way to understand things.
Okay.
When you actually have a physical symptom that happens. And when the physical
Oh,
symptom happens, you go, oh, okay, what's this pointing to? What's going on here?
okay,
So I used to have a really bad bout of asthma. Uh,
okay.
onset as it came as an onset when I went away to college. Now,
Oh,
we got it treated the Western medicine way, of
of
course.
course, inhalers.
Inhalers and God, prescription drug called Theodore back in that day, and it would just make my heart just like jump out. It felt like it was going to jump out of my chest,
Yeah,
and I didn't like that. And then you wouldn't, you couldn't sleep, and then your mouth would be all dry. Those kinds of things. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. This is the truth.
No, no, no. The side effects
Yeah,
usually outweigh the help that it's supposedly giving.
exactly. And then, it started to come back when I was an adult. And I noticed that, or I shouldn't, well, I was always an adult when I had it, but it started to come back when I was married with children.
Okay.
And so I learned how to treat it a different way. And, there were those times where it's like it just went far beyond me. But I remember, that was the easiest one to understand. Well, this is about sadness. And the funny thing about it, when my father actually is interesting. He's been gone 21 years. He made his transition 21 years ago. And right after he
Wow.
made his transition, I had a lot of asthma going on. I mean, I would like so harsh
Oh,
that I would
yeah.
need to be rushed to emergency. And
Wow.
if I didn't have my hands on healing there, I don't know what they would have done or what could have happened. But I remember going, okay, this is grief. So a lot of lung
Okay.
issues have to do with grief and letting go. And even
Huh.
with, several years later, I want to say a decade or so later, I had some large intestine issues going on. And
Okay.
so I remember being scared by that. And by the way, that was passed down through DNA. My grandmother had large intestine issues as well.
Ah.
So the piece of that was very interesting because I thought, oh my God, if I don't nip this in the bud, I'm going to be like her or I'm going to die,
Mm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, and at the time, I wasn't speaking to one of my sisters. Um,
Oh.
I mean, really mad and angry with her. And I remember the bathtub is like my place to go. So I remember going in the bathtub and just sobbing, just letting all my feelings out. I was
Mhm.
sad. I was sad that my sister and I couldn't talk and work things
Mhm.
out. And I remember just like really letting it out. And it was like the whole bleeding cooling thing. That's what was going on. Just
Oh
got
wow,
worse.
that's nothing small.
No, it's not.
uh,
And so eventually, I went to the doctor and of course, they want to cut and they want to do all these other things. And I said,
of
no, you're
course.
not doing that. You're not doing that. So I'm really happy to say I treated it with a very natural way with supplements and hands-on energy healing. And I did a
Okay.
lot of inner work with that. Now, the funny thing about it, I was searching and searching for program after program to help me heal this piece with my sister. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I came across in what was that, 2010. So I'd already
Okay.
done some shamanic healing, some shamanic,
Sure.
training. but I came across my friend. Like I said, I met her and she seemed to have this peace about her. And I was at this place of feeling like, my sister and I were talking, but it was in this place of like, I'm not sure this is good. I don't feel good about this.
Right.
I don't feel good about our relationship.
Right.
So I kept searching out programs to help me with that. And finally, when I went around the medicine wheel is what we call it, and I did it of the Inca tradition, because I believe the Native Americans have a different, their medicine was a little bit different.
Okay.
The first layer of the medicine wheel for the Inca tradition is where you shed a lot of your past. And I
Okay.
remember just crying for 4 days straight. I was crying. I mean, and what it really opened up for me was I got to see the stuff that how I have been feeling abandoned my whole life. And it started as a baby in the crib. Something so subtle where your parents bring you home, you're the fourth born child, the last of four girls, and no one wants to hold you. And feeling like I'm screaming my head off. And I saw this, screaming my head
Wow.
off in the crib and just letting out all my feelings and crying because I wasn't getting the love and attention that I wanted as deserved as a baby.
Right.
And what that did for me was it made me understand that I'm not the only one who felt that way. My sister carried that as well.
Is she the third? I'm guessing. I'm not sure.
She's the third
Okay.
born, I'm the fourth born. So she came before me. And
Right.
and the funny thing about it is my sisters and I were pretty much spaced apart, almost like we're only children. So my oldest
Oh.
sister is like 16 years older than me. So the only
Okay.
two that
Okay.
are
I
the
got you.
closest in age are the two oldest. So my oldest
Okay.
sister is like 16 years older than me. Then my next sister is 15 years older than me.
Got it.
My
Okay.
sister,
Those two
the
are close then.
one that I wasn't talking to, is 7 years older than me.
Okay. Okay.
So, she probably felt like, abandoned as
She
well.
felt that first probably, and then yeah. Okay.
Well, I know she feels that way, but she hasn't done
Yeah.
her work with it. I've watched that and I begin to understand. So
Hmm.
when you do your work, your inner work like that, I cry. And so I was crying that whole weekend and I got over it and it's not like it's done. So I looked at how it
No,
played out my
that's
whole
just the first
life.
part.
I looked at how it played out my whole life when somebody would leave me and how I would feel crummy and how I would want to go crawl in a hole or maybe I retaliated a certain way. Because when people feel abandoned, guess what they do to others? They will
They
abandon
walk
others.
away a lot.
Yes, they will
And when
abandon
you
others.
said that, I got a shudder because I do that a lot.
So when we feel abandoned, if that's our wound, guess what? We're going to do that to others. So I really had to learn to not do that to others. And that's where I'm sitting at today. I did a lot of work around it. And so part of it is like when I have those feelings of abandonment come up, and it's like, okay, what part of me is feeling that way? So I go back to this baby inside of me that might be screaming her head off, like, I need some attention right now. And so I work with her. And
Yeah.
so I'll just sit there and hold myself and just in my mind's eye, I feel my baby needing some love and attention, my inner baby, and I give it to
Yeah.
her. And usually, if I spend a lot of time with her, she doesn't need to go off on anybody. She doesn't need to
Yes.
turn her back on
Okay.
anyone, And when people come at me with their abandonment issues, um, I'll recognize it pretty quickly. If I'm triggered by
Okay.
it, then I got to go do my own inner work. But if
Okay.
they are sitting with me, projecting onto me, and I can feel it, and I'm
Yes.
not, and I'm
You
not triggered
recognize it.
by it,
Yeah.
then I know it's their stuff and not mine.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That that hit me pretty hard actually. What you just said because it reminds me of something else I saw, and it keeps coming up until you fix it, right? So I saw something maybe a couple of weeks ago that says abandoned people have a tendency to cut bait and run before you do it because they know it's coming or they assume it's coming. So yeah, I
Well,
get
they
it.
want they want to abandon someone else first before they get abandoned because they don't want to deal with the abandonment pieces.
Yes, they don't want to
But
feel that again, so they're going to do it first. Yeah.
so they're going to do it first. So then they don't have to they don't have to deal with those hurt feelings of feeling abandoned. So let's just
Yeah.
do this first before before they do it to me.
Yeah. Not a nice cycle, unfortunately.
No, and this is the reason why I do the work I do, because
Yeah.
this is conscious work, you know.
Yes.
So when you're in relationship with others, it's very important to be able to throw your feelings on the table with people. I
Yeah.
can't really have surface conversations with people anymore. All my conversations are deep. The people who are in my life, who I allow around me, they're people I can have deep conversations with. If I can't have a
Yeah.
deep conversation with you, then I'm not going to spend very much time with you.
Right. Yes. I agree. I
And
definitely
so I
agree.
got to be able to put things on the table with you. And if you're showing up and what, huh, acting dumbed out, then and here's the thing is I can see and feel things that are beyond the surface. So I can feel when people show up and they're hiding something, or they don't want to deal with it, or they've numbed out about it. And
Mhm.
so, when that happens, it's kind of like, oh, okay. Then you can't really relate to that person because you can't have a decent conversation with them.
Right.
And so, and when I mean decent to me is a conscious conversation. It's like, okay, I'm going to put my feelings out on the table about this
Yeah.
issue, and you don't have to do anything about it. You can discuss it with me, and we can agree to disagree, or we can
Right.
agree to, work on it together, understand it
Right.
together. And,
Yes.
maybe I'm triggering something in you too.
Yes. I like that. I like that a lot. And I've noticed I can't have the conversations I maybe had, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. I can't have those conversations. They're very pretentious to me. It's like, okay, what are we doing? Why are we wasting time? Just let's talk about what's going on, really. So I hear you. I definitely hear you. On your energy healing journey, I know you said shamanic medicine. I'm not entirely sure what all of that means, but I do know a little bit about Reiki. I do know a little bit about chakras. I'm still learning, so I'm just starting where you're already you've been there already. Um, what is maybe the primary medicine that you use? You were talking about first layers just now with Incan medicine. Is that what you follow, the Incan traditions?
I do follow a lot of the Inca traditions. I
Okay,
also have a Chinese medicine background, and that's where I
I
started
love
pretty
that.
much.
Yeah,
But I want you to know, I'm going to say what one of my old mentors used to say, because someone used to ask her, because she
sure.
practiced this healing art called Jin Shin Jitsu, which I practice as well, which is very similar
Okay.
to Chinese medicine.
Uh-huh.
And she was an acupuncturist at one time. So someone says, which one's better? And she would say, they're all from source. So not one of them is better than the other. They're all from source.
Right.
So I tend to blend them all together,
Okay. All right.
because in Chinese medicine we read the body. We
Mhm.
do body readings. We also
Yes.
feel pulses.
Yes.
So, and even in that Japanese healing art I was mentioning to you, Jin Shin Jitsu, there's
Okay.
body reading done. There's pulse reading as well, and it's a little bit different than Chinese medicine, slightly different, but it's
Okay.
very, very similar. Now,
Okay.
they support my shamanism,
Okay.
because when somebody comes and starts, like this weekend, we're moving things like crystallized energy in people. And what exactly is crystallized energy? Well, crystallized energy can appear as pain. And
Okay.
sometimes, people try to treat the pain on a physical level, but
The
really
symptom.
sometimes that pain is energy.
Yeah. Okay.
And a lot of the times that pain is energy. And sometimes it's not even from this dimension or this lifetime. It can
Yes.
be something that has shown up in the body, and your soul has has imprinted it in you, that it comes up for healing this lifetime because it happened some other lifetime. And now I'm getting really,
Yes.
really deep in there.
No, I get it because and I like this because I just had maybe it's been a year, but I had my Akashic records read because I was just curious. I wanted to know more, and there was just so much information there. I've had emotional coding done just to try and see because I'm trying to find my way as well. But there's just I didn't realize how much your energy means and how much it gets caught up with your emotions. And this is just it's been an amazing a lot of information, but amazing work. that I'm trying to learn about now. So
So
I'm excited when you say that it's been passed down sometimes or it's crystallized somewhere. Yeah.
yes, and these are the unconscious things that we aren't
Yeah.
aware of. So, I just removed an anchor hook out of someone this weekend. And it's
Wow.
energetic. It's not, it's something that happened in a past life where she drowned,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, and, the funny thing about it, she would have headaches on top of her head. So she tried to treat them, but nothing would help. So,
Okay.
you know how people will go to the doctor and they try to treat something and the doctor just symptomatically treats it.
Yes.
Puts a band-aid.
Yes. Yes.
So, and the doctor is like, scratching their head because they're totally using science and not, other things, the intuitive world or the
Right. And it's
multidimensional.
based on what that patient happens to be telling them based on whatever the symptoms that they feel. Yes, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
So, and then they can't help the person get over their headache because, the headache keeps coming back, or they put them on some heavy duty
It's a
drugs and it kind
temporary
of
thing. Yes.
helps it a little bit, but not quite. I used to treat people with headaches a lot in my practice. And so, these are the people who can't find a solution from the doctor, like what's going on with me? And so they might go to a shaman because the shaman will go, oh, and we'll be able to see that this is deeper than what meets the surface here. You see why I can't have, superficial
Yes.
conversations
Yes.
anymore?
Yes.
When you work
Absolutely.
on people
Yes.
on this level, it's like, oh, all of a sudden superficial
There's no
conversations
way
are
you can
boring.
hide anything anymore. You have to come clean.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is so true because you're seeing beyond the surface.
Yeah.
And sometimes it happens, and it's different for everyone. Like I was teaching this weekend, I was like, everybody's abilities are different. There's 8 clear abilities, and
Okay.
they're related to all the senses. And sometimes
Hmm.
when people start talking is when I will hear, feel, and see things. It's like, oh, So for me, that's how it works. Other people can see people's energy fields. I don't see people's energy fields. I've always been a sentient person, can feel. And
Yes.
the audience piece kicked in shortly thereafter, when I started getting more training. And then I would always go, when I first did my first shamanic training, which was called multidimensional healing, everybody in the class could see things and I couldn't see. So I make
Okay.
sure my students know that just because I can feel or see something and you can't doesn't mean it's your way. You have to find
Right.
your way.
Yes. It's almost like your learning abilities. Are you, an auditory learner or are you a tactical learner? Yes, I get it. Yes. And that's where when you say everything's from source, it just depends on what works for you.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
we are all expressions of source.
Yes.
And so source has like infinite ways to express itself through all of us, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that a
So,
lot.
everybody's going to show up differently the way they need to show up with their clear abilities. Um, so that's something I teach the students because I don't want them sitting in class feeling all frustrated because they don't see and feel what I see or feel.
Right.
But, and they need to find their own way with it. And so that's what I
I
really
love
emphasize.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I wish people would teach that in school, like elementary school, like allow the kids to find their way because then it's not so stressful. It's a little more natural and they learn and remember better as well. So yes, I
Oh,
totally
you don't have to
100%
tell me
second
that. I
that
had a
emotion.
girlfriend posting something about the rote healing in high school, okay? Rote healing. She did a rote memorization in high school, and I
Ah,
remember
yeah,
that.
okay. Yep.
I remember that when my girls were in high school many, many years ago, and we would get so frustrated about the way they were learning things. I know I got off on a tangent here,
Yes.
but
No, no, no. But it's all related.
it's
Yes.
all related. So,
Yeah.
when we learn things, we have, and our abilities, everyone's abilities are different. How we learn, how we, tap into things, everyone's intuitive ability is going to be different. And so we
Yes.
have to honor our differences.
Yes. We can agree to disagree. Yes.
Absolutely.
People, no, I'm serious. Like, I like the way that you say that. It's something that I also say, and I only say that, not saying that you and I are disagreeing, but it's okay. You have your ideas, they work for you. I have my ideas, they work for me. And it's not mutually exclusive. They can still exist. It's all source.
Right, right. Yes, it can be, it's just expressed differently through each and every individual here.
Yes.
It's like we got the big higher self, and then we got the individual literal higher selves
Yes.
that makes up the big higher
Yes.
selves.
Yes. I love that. So I like the idea of one-on-one retreats. I think it's very focused. It feels like it's taking it to the next level. Yes, people do one-on-ones. It's easy to do one-on-ones. You call people, maybe they sit in front of you physically, but to do a retreat one-on-one with someone, that's some very focused work. How are you managing? Because I don't know about you, but as an empath, I feel like I take on a lot of energy. So I need a lot of time to myself to kind of recover a little bit and be ready for the next person that I help. How do you manage your energy in that regard?
Oh boy. Well, I haven't done a one-on-one retreat yet, but that's what I'm
Okay.
moving towards.
Yeah.
I'm it will be interesting to see how it is, but that was the transmission I got from spirit to move
Okay.
towards that. So
Okay.
one of the transitioning pieces I'm doing, because I'm living in LA now, Los
Okay.
Angeles, and I used to live I've spent most of my adult life in the Bay Area. I'm originally from Los Angeles. And
Okay.
so my practice was built in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area.
Uh-huh.
And right now, I'm just getting all these requests right now. I tease my LA people. I said, you guys better watch out. They're calling me to come back up there.
Okay.
But I decided to open up and have an intense week of sessions with people. So it's going to be very interesting to do that because I've never done it before. And what that means is that there will be 4 people who can sign
Okay.
up to have daily sessions with me. So,
Nice.
that's intensity because that's what it would be like to work with somebody one-on-one, to give them
Yes.
probably sessions at least once or twice a day to teach them how to work on themselves. So if they're going to have a personal one-on-one retreat with me, they're going to have some downtime because I believe in downtime and we got to be near the
Yes.
beach.
Yeah. No, I
Be
get it
near the
because
beach.
they need to absorb whatever's being revealed, whatever they're being taught or yes.
So we'll have to be near some beach because the
Okay.
beach, I find that, I mean, I hold my retreats right now near the beach. The last 2 have been held near the beach, and I have to say it's been really magical, to be able to leave the house and just walk 50 feet to the sand and be near the beach,
Yes.
the ocean.
That
There's
would be a
something about the
dream.
negative ions. The negative ions
Okay.
just really clear things so quickly. So there are times where we're like, no, we're not going to sit cooped up in the house. We'll go out on the deck and we can breathe the ocean breeze, and that's
Nice.
really sweet. So I will, I have to have an environment conducive to so that I can have my time because I'm an empath too, highly empathic. Part of it will be, setting up a schedule because they need their time to themselves too. They don't want
Yes.
me in their face the whole time. So
Right.
part of it will be go reflect, go do this for yourself, and you'll have some free time. So
Hmm.
there'll be teaching pieces where I'm cooking. I enjoy cooking. I get so much joy from making
I love it too.
really yummy, high vibrational food. I'm a vegan, so
I'm working
um,
towards that.
you're moving towards that. Well,
I'm
I'm
finding
also
that
going to be.
certain foods just really upset me now. And yeah, I can't anymore.
I think the world is moving towards that way. I'm serious. I never
Yes.
thought I would be a vegan. Here's the deal. I ate my meat big time. I had chicken, fish, red meat, big time, steaks.
Yeah.
And something in me said 2 years ago, Tomasa, no more. What? It's time for
So
you
you
to.
stopped cold turkey?
No, I didn't. I
Okay.
cut it really slowly. I would
Okay.
notice that I would go plant-based for
Mhm.
5 days straight, and then all of a sudden I
Mhm.
would go, oh, I gotta have a steak. Oh, I gotta have chicken or whatever. So I cut out red meat first. It was two
Mhm.
years ago in February. I cut
Okay.
out red meat first and said no more red meat. And my sister's like, what? And I'm like, I know. And then March came along in 2017, and I said, okay, I'm going to cut chicken out. And so that was okay too, because I
Okay.
wasn't crazy about the taste of chicken anymore. And
Hmm.
then fish was the last thing that was going. And so April, I tried to cut it out, and I could go for so long, and then it was like, nah, about the fifth day, I would need fish. I would need some
Okay.
kind of animal protein. So I had chicken and fish in my diet, for a while longer. Because I said, I'm not going to force it.
Right.
Everything for me has to be organic. I can't force things.
It doesn't stick long if I force it. I'm just gonna, yeah.
So I didn't force it. So I just
Hmm.
said, well, we just eat plant-based for like 5 or 6, 7 days, and I didn't put it that way. It was like, okay, what are we having, And then
Yeah.
I would listen to what my body wanted, And then I noticed that one day, about December of 2017, my body just went, you haven't had any meat in, like, how many days? 10 days now? How much further can you go? So, it was probably December 2017 when I went totally plant-based. Um, I also got the whisper from Spirit that I was supposed to do that. And whoever I am to be in relationship with, in partnership with, as a life partner, is going to be a vegan. So you're going to have to match that. It's like, what?
Wow. Okay, that's very specific.
Well, I heard that, and so it was like, yeah, you're gonna have to match that because that's a different vibration.
Yeah, it is.
And so it was like, oh, and I think part of it too, as we as a collective and individually, as our vibrations raise, we are finding ourselves needing less and less animal
Yeah.
protein.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm finding has happened. And since I cut it out, it's an interesting thing to see what has transpired, because the abilities of, these clear abilities have really, like, whoop, kicked in. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they were
Yes.
already there, but now they're really there. Nonstop. Um, and then there's a little bit more peace. There's much more peace in yourself. And you're able to recognize when things need to be, when somebody's projecting onto you. It's just a different vibration. That's all I can say. And it's not that I never get upset or anything, because it does happen. But
Of course.
when it happens, it's funny. My cousin watched me one day, and I didn't even notice this. And she just looked at me and she said, "You were upset, but you were so zen about it."
That is the goal. That is the goal. Yeah, yeah.
And so I didn't even know it, but it's funny to get the feedback from
Yes.
family and friends. Like, was I really harsh? And they would go, no, like, and you're like, really? Um, so it's just fun to watch the evolution of becoming more and more who you are.
Yes. I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to let it happen naturally. Like I said before, if I force it, it's not going to last long. I'm just going to have to take it slow anyway. So
It's
it's been
evolving.
amazing. Yes, but I like that. It's like I'm learning to listen to my body a little bit more. When I eat something and I don't feel good afterwards, I know that's probably not something I should be eating. But then I do get cravings, just like you mentioned, and there's some days where I just need comfort food. But yes, I'm learning to listen a little bit more, and it's changing. I'm getting more and more
Well,
comfortable
the
with certain
less
foods.
comfort food you will need is when you handle the issues that are causing the cravings.
Yeah.
I've,
Yep.
I've noticed that. It's like, oh, my big thing is, like, I chew something. Whether
Okay.
it's gum or, or popcorn or something. It's like,
Okay.
oh, what's going on with me that I gotta chew?
I didn't even know. I've been doing that a lot lately, and I didn't even notice that until you said that. Wow. Yeah. And it's funny because as a kid, I was a grinder. So,
Oh.
yeah, it was a lot of grinding. And I
So
would wake up with lockjaw.
well, some of it is, what happens is we're unconsciously doing it, actually.
Yeah.
We're not even aware that we are, eating certain foods because maybe we're upset. So you are probably unconsciously picking foods that will allow you to let your emotions out.
Yeah, I think I'm noticing that. Now that you, it's almost like I don't notice it until you say something, and then I'm thinking like, I do that though. Wow. I need to look into that a little bit. So yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I have this girlfriend of mine says, do we really have to look at all these things? And I'm like, yes, because everything's energy. This is what spirit energy healing is about. Everything is energy. Here's the thing. I teach shamanism of the Inca tradition.
Hmm.
Inca is actually spelled Enqa in Quechuan. That's the language of
Oh,
the shamans of the Inca tradition. And if we translate it to English, it means energy. And so
wow. Why did we change?
everything, everything is energy.
Yes, yes, I
Food is
absolutely agree.
energy. Why we choose the food is energy. The emotions behind it. Our emotions put out a vibration. That is energy. I mean, I was an engineer, for heaven's sake. I studied physics and all.
Yeah.
And when people talk about vibrations, all I can see is like these longitudinal waves going.
But yeah, I get it. And I'm thinking, the more I learn, there are certain places where I'm stuck. And if I were to release that energy, what could I accomplish? If I could just let it go, if I could heal it a little bit, man, what could we do?
Well, we can't, sometimes we're not ready to let it go. So it's coming up for healing. Just you having this
Yeah.
conversation with me is probably going, oh, stirring the pot here for you. Like, what is it
But it's
that
giving me
I need to
ideas of
let
what I
go?
need to research next. So I'm excited. I'm happy to have this conversation because now I'm like, okay, this is the direction. It's coming up a lot. Chakras are coming up a lot.
Chakras.
Energy healing, yeah. So I'm learning. I don't know much about auras. I don't see. I feel. I
Mm-hmm.
hear, but I don't see. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe that'll come and maybe it won't. But I'm digging into it more because it's interesting to me. A lot of the things that I have experienced in my life have kind of led up to this, but like I said, I've put it on the shelf. I wasn't ready to handle it at the time. So now it's all kind of like coming together, and I'm realizing, as a teenager, I used to read palms, and I don't know why, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now it's mostly I
You used to
sit with
read
people.
palms?
Hmm.
Like hands?
Hmm.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
don't know, I don't know where it came from, but I did. People would come, like my friends would come to me and ask, and I used to read into it and learn a little bit more, as people would ask questions that I couldn't answer. But that happened when I was maybe 14, 15. I don't know. I used to really pay attention to the elements. I'm a water baby. I love being around water. So that when you talk about the beach, I get it. It's very grounding. It's so peaceful. Um,
Calming.
but I
Calming.
like the way the wind works as well, though.
Mm-hmm.
I like paying attention to, I think I was having a conversation with someone who is a medium and does tarot and oracle cards and things like that. And as we were hitting on certain topics, the leaves would blow, and it was almost like rain, these tiny, tiny leaves that would fall. And it was like, all right, okay, whatever I'm talking about there, I need to remember because that means something more than just this conversation. It's strange, but I'm learning, and I want to learn more, and it's very exciting. So when you agreed to sit and talk with me, I was like, wow, I can't imagine what I would learn from her because she's on a different level, and she's been doing this a long time, and it's a different aspect of what I'm learning anyway. So I have a lot to research after this conversation. I'm excited.
Well, I do work with chakras.
Okay.
So, the chakras are vortexes. A lot of people call them energy centers or they just call them
Yes.
chakras, but the chakras are energy vortexes. Think about it.
Yes.
Um, our energy vortexes need to be cleaned out and they need to be spinning the correct direction.
Yes.
And when they're spinning the wrong direction is when life is hard or life doesn't come so easily to us. So when they are spinning the correct direction, things just happen with ease and grace. And
Yes.
we often need to clean them out. And cleaning them out might be there's gunk in them. I can't even really describe it because I don't see it, but I can feel it being mucky, when I'm pulling stuff
Yes.
out. So where people are congested in their bodies tells me which chakra needs some help the most. So I often see this. I saw a lot this weekend with the participants. Um, a lot of them had a lot of congestion in like the sacral chakra, the second chakra,
Yeah,
and the third chakra. And it's very interesting. And
I was going to say that.
it has the third chakra is about the power. So that's the solar
Yeah.
plexus chakra. So it's about the power. The second one, I want to bring that one up, just because this weekend, this retreat that I taught, is really all about owning that divine feminine energy. And that's very second chakra stuff, you know. And right now, with all this stuff going on in the world with the Me Too movement and people being sexually abused,
I just mentioned, yeah,
you see a lot of second chakra stuff coming up.
yeah,
Um, but also when women aren't owning, or it's not even just women, anyone not owning the feminine part of themselves. The feminine part is the intuitive piece. It's the piece
the
that,
allowing piece.
yes, yes. And it's the receiving piece. That's big for me to be able
Yes.
to receive all the time.
I'm very masculine. I like to do. I like to fix. I like to be in action. Yeah. It's been
Well,
a long journey.
I'm not sure what generation you're actually in, because, we can't tell our ages. But I do know that, I grew up in the 70s when the whole big feminist movement was going on, and
Okay.
women burning their bras and,
Okay.
things of that sort. So just think about that, so what I was taught, or what I've learned from that, is that, the kids were latchkey. So I turned into a latchkey kid, probably 12, 13 years old. My mom stayed home with my sisters, and then she decided she's going to go get herself a job and be a little bit more independent, because she probably was planning
Right.
to leave my dad anyway. So,
Okay.
so part of it is like, so I think what I learned is how to be independent, but in a masculine way. I mean,
Yes.
females can be independent, and if you go in the working world, and I think that was the hardest thing, because what it shows you is this conflict of being female, wanting to wanting to have the freedom and not feel oppressed, but also, how can I show up, fully expressed as a feminine, and still be effective,
Yes.
rather
Yes.
than showing up the
Because the rules aren't
masculine
built for
way.
that.
Pardon me?
The corporate world isn't built for that. They don't,
No,
yeah.
it's not. And I think that's why I had to get out of there, because it was too, it felt awkward. It felt very awkward. I was very successful in the corporate world, but
Right.
I felt very awkward. I was in high-tech sales. I have an engineering background. So I was in high-tech sales, and the people skills were great. And,
Yeah.
connecting with client or customers and doing those kinds of things, and to have the intelligence to be able to talk to engineers was a big piece. But
Yes.
when it came right down to it, I always felt inferior to the guys, because the guys were so aggressive with the way they would approach the customers. And
Right.
me, I was like, no, I'm not
I
going
don't
to
want
do
to
it that
force
way.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think I realized how feminine I really was until I
Yeah.
came out and did my own business. And I started looking back, when you study sales and stuff, you go, I've always been intuitive with sales. I
Yes.
never forced myself onto the clients.
Yeah.
And so it was a different kind of story there, So it was like, and I think that's when I really began to own the feminine piece of myself. So
Wow.
yeah, really owning it now, stepping more into it. I remember there's a point in time I couldn't even wear pants, because like, nope, I want to own the feminine piece of myself. It's funny the phases we go through our
Yes.
own self-development.
But it makes me feel better to have people like you tell your story, and there are elements that are kind of similar to mine. Your journey is your own, but when I hear you say some of these things, I'm like, yeah, okay, that was a phase for me too. And yeah, okay, I was not comfortable forcing, and it didn't fit. I was in timeshare. I was marketing for timeshare for many, many years. And what I would do is, what I realized was they were buying me and the experience I was presenting. So I would do events for people, and it was fun to have them get out of their own way a little bit and just to have fun, loosen up. But I knew there was a sale coming at the end of it, and I didn't like that aspect of it. So I kind of like, didn't engage on that level. I tried to stay away from it. Although I can't, it's part of my job. So I have to, make sure the salespeople are ready. I need to glean as much information as I can from the client, but it was more on a friendly, I speak to people, I enjoy listening, level. So when you say, yeah, it wasn't comfortable and I felt very awkward, it felt very untrue of me to do things that way. Yeah, it wasn't, it was the same but different. Yeah.
I get it. I get it. You know, sometimes we have to take a step back from our past. And this is really sweet because with the medicine wheel, we kind of mainly look at the four directions. And
Okay.
one of the directions is the north direction. And there's an
Okay.
animal totem for each direction. And the north happens to be
Oh.
hummingbird.
Huh.
And if you
Okay.
look at hummingbird, I bring this up because how can we look at our past and see the beauty, see the lesson, see the joy from the past?
Yes.
And that's what hummingbird brings to us, because hummingbird actually is the only bird that flies backwards and drinks from the sweet
Yeah.
nectar of life. Someone is
Okay.
wanting our attention. Who is this I am Savanti? He keeps going, hi, hi,
He,
hi, love.
yes, he tends to jump on a lot of the videos that I do.
Okay,
Yep.
got it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so hummingbird flies backwards and drinks from the sweet nectar of life. And
Yes.
I think that that is a sign for us all that we all can look at our past and find the sweetness in it. What did it bring forward to us? So, you and I both talking about our sales experience in the corporate
Yeah.
world and looking at how we might have felt awkward, but really we were feeling inferior to the male kind of energy because we weren't matching that energy.
Yeah. I couldn't, and I didn't like that I couldn't, but I couldn't.
Right. And so the piece of it, the lesson for us to understand and to embrace is that, because we weren't masculine like them, we
Yeah.
really do have that feminine piece in us.
Mhm.
And I think probably what I'm feeling from you is that you're intuitive, probably when it comes to sales. And intuition, like I said, comes up many different ways. There's many clear
Yes.
abilities. So you would feel with these people like, oh, they don't want this. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't say this to them. They're just going to
Right.
go right out the door if I say this to them. They,
Yes.
they just came here to get the free gift, So,
Mostly. Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. So, so I guess, to say, I would feel what would be the right time to talk with an engineer or even the buyers in my business. I was in the semiconductor industry in Silicon Valley and
Wow.
or up in the Bay Area, or San Jose area, I should say. And, it was all up to me about building relationships and knowing,
Yes.
not to, if somebody already had a relationship with my competitor, I'm not going to go in there and say, don't design them into
Yeah.
your circuits. But oh my God, okay, well, why, you get to know them and build that
Yes. Oh
relationship.
my goodness. Yes. 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 Yes.
So I guess what I'm saying is that the feminine piece is there, but we always felt awkward showing it. And
Because
and
corporate isn't built for that.
no, people are always get mad at me now because I say, I don't know about this feminism stuff. And people say, but Tomasa, and I go, I feel like it made a lot of work for me because I was a working mom. And
Yes.
I would love to have been able to stay home with my kids and totally be present for them.
Yeah.
Now
And
I'm
that's part
present
of the
for them
reason
as
I'm breaking out.
adults.
Yes.
Now I'm present for them as adults, but it's like, oh, but and even in my marriage, I was probably the masculine one because I was the big breadwinner out there. So that one was an interesting concept and I think the marriage didn't last because it was like, the roles got to switch here. I don't want to be masculine. I don't want to do the masculine piece anymore. I don't want to wear the pants in the marriage. And I didn't
Right.
even realize that till my girlfriend said to me one day, You're tired of wearing the pants. I went, oh my God, yes,
Yeah.
you're right. But
This has been
these are the
amazing.
kinds of things. I mean, this is deep.
Yes.
These are the
And
kinds
that's
of
what I've been
things
looking
that I work
for.
with people on, like,
Mhm.
oh, look at these pieces in yourself. We can talk about your childhood and we can get through that, but let's dive even deeper, what has come up to the surface for us as a collective and what has been
Yeah.
brought down from generations from your ancestors. So,
There is a lot of healing to be done in the world, Tomasa, and I'm really glad you're doing your work. I've learned a lot from you. I want to look more into this medicine wheel and the 4 directions and the animal totems. I'm excited.
absolutely. I'd
There's
love
a
to
lot
have a
to learn.
conversation with you anytime, sweetheart.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, very quickly before we get off of here, where is the best place for people to find you? Would it be on Instagram or was it more on Facebook for you?
Um, it's both. I mean, I'm on
Okay,
Instagram. I have my little times when I'm out because I'm busy teaching.
sure,
But
of course.
Facebook, I'm pretty much on Facebook probably a lot more because I've been on there longer. But I do post
Okay.
on Instagram. So both. I tend to do Facebook Lives because that's where my followers are. I've been on there for a
Yes.
long time, so I
And
have a lot of followers on Facebook
and I
Live.
appreciate that you would step out of your comfort zone and join me on Instagram. Only because I could do it on Facebook, but then I can't post it on Instagram. It doesn't work that way, but I can post this to Facebook. Yeah. That's the only reason I did that. I'm so sorry.
No, it's perfectly fine. It's actually making me feel like, oh, I can do this Instagram Live
Hmm.
now. So my girlfriend
Very cool.
Roxanne says she is the best. Thank you, Roxy.
Yes, she's been very supportive throughout this conversation. I'm so sorry I haven't been paying attention to the comments, but I have been so enthralled with this conversation that it's not every time you get to, you find someone that can speak energy and speak about the things that I'm also trying to learn about that already know. So I love that. I'm very, very grateful that you have the time to spend with me this morning.
Well, I'm very grateful that you even asked me on this. I had no idea what
Of
we were going to talk
course.
about. It's like, what are we going to talk about? It's
Oh,
like, well,
about
I'm a
what you know
networking
best.
person anyway.
It's always about what the other person knows best because I'm here to share you with the world and then see if I can learn something along the way as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for
You're
this
welcome. Thank
opportunity
you so
honor.
much.
Yeah.
Please, please follow my friend Tomasa. How do I pronounce your last name, please?
Makapinlak.
Makapinlak. So Tomasa _ Makapinlak. And I will post this on Facebook and tag you there as well. Thank you once again and keep doing. I can't wait to hear how your retreats go. I think that's going to be an amazing experience for people. Very, very amazing.
I can't wait
Very
for
mind
them to
opening.
grow too. They are on their
Yep.
way of growing. I
Yes.
feel that. I see that. I have a lot of people who are like, okay, when's the next one? When's the
It's
next circle?
necessary. Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much,
Thank you. All
Pika.
my love. You take care.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye bye, dear.